Well, hello everybody, it's Bug Eater 64, and we're back here for another flight in the Dash 8 Q400 freeware aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And we are going to be doing an Air Hauler 2 flight so that we can officially get our bird from MUVR in Cuba back to KMIA at Miami International. We did the night flight. I know you saw it, and I'm very grateful for the kind words and comments made by people. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. But that was an unofficial flight to get the bird back to uh, Miami. So now I'm going to do a daytime flight using the same aircraft after I've made some adjustments to some controls. And still got some issues, I think, with the sensitivity on the rudders. And that may be just an issue that I may need some new rudder pedals. But that'll be in time. You know, fixed income people, we have to take our time in making these changes. But that being said, we're going to get going here. We're going to get into the cockpit of the aircraft, and we'll be on our way out of MUVR in Cuba. So we'll see you inside and look forward to the flight. Okay, so here we are at Microsoft Flight Sim, and we're going to go ahead and show you how we do a sim brief flight plan and load it up. So here we go. We're going to load. I have a folder that I have strictly for Microsoft flight plans, and then we go ahead and open that folder, click on it, and you can see all the legs of the flight plan from SimBrief. And you can use other flight plan makers but do the same thing. Just have a separate folder. You keep them all in and then load each flight plan you want to use into it. Now I'm picking my starting spot from the airport at MUVR. And once I do that, it'll actually add that. Otherwise, it'll start you right at the beginning of the runway. So let's go ahead now that we've got our flight plan set up, and we can go ahead and click fly and get into the cockpit. Here we are at MUVR. And there's our airplane parked over there. There she is. The Dash 8 Q400. I've always liked this aircraft. And we'll go ahead. I know how to start this aircraft manually, but I'm being lazy today, so I'm just going to go ahead and use my checklist and let my co-pilot do all the work. And go ahead, our air hauler, so click on flying it myself. Then I'll click on our home base, and that's where we want to go. And I'm going to have to add some fuel, I think. Here we go. Excuse me. So we'll add up some fuel so we have enough to get us home. And accept the flight plan from them. And get into the cockpit. You hear that beeping? That's the air hauler waiting for us to get going. Double check our fuel here. I want to make some adjustment to it again. A little extra fuel just to make sure I've got plenty. Alright. So let's go ahead and start for it. Let's see if we get a green light for a good connection. And there we go. So we are ready to go for air hauler. And let's go ahead and set up my comms, also the map, and Everything's looking good there. Alright, so let's get our checklist started so we can have some power and get this bird ready to fly. Before I start, let me double check some of the changes I've made to my controls. Yep, that works good. Alright. And the speed brakes. Okay, now they work when I want them to, not when they want to. Alright, so let's get started.
System test. Okay.
Alright, let's get to starting the engines. And engines are starting up, so that's good. Co-pilot's doing a fine job today. Beautiful day to fly. And it's a beautiful day here in upstate South Carolina, where I'm at presently. Our temperatures today are close to 80 degrees, so summer is on its way, even though we're still in fall, or I should say beginning of spring. And we've got two good engines running, so that's always a plus.
Veradero Tower, Bug-Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-Ray IFR to Miami, ready to copy. Bug-Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-Ray is cleared to Miami Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 06 climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Departure frequency is 120.25 squawk 1477. Bug-Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-Ray cleared to Miami Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 06 climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Departure on 120.25 squawk 1477. Bug-Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-Ray readback is correct. Contact ground on 118.4 when ready to taxi.
Alrighty.
Veradero ground, Bug-Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-Ray ready to taxi IFR. Bug-Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-Ray taxi to and hold short at runway 06 via taxiway Alpha. Contact tower on 118.4 when ready. Taxi to and hold short runway 06 via taxiway Alpha Bug-Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-Ray.
Okay, so everything's looking good. We are ready to go. Double check some settings here for flight director on. Okay. And we'll be setting our altitude. We don't need a lot of altitude, so, you know, probably 5,500, 5,000, something like that. Haven't made up my mind, but we'll pick one. And vertical speed, we'll be setting that up for about 500 feet a minute. Like I said, this is a ferry flight for air hauler too, but just a leisurely fun flight on a beautiful day. So let's go ahead and get that set up here. And we're going to limit our bank, because if I don't hit the half bank limiter, this thing will go crazy in turns. Alright, let's see here. Everything's looking good. Okay, so parking brake is off. We've got everything set up. We are ready to taxi. So let's get down to runway 06. See how touchy the rudders are, even especially just for the nose steering. So, gonna definitely have to work on that. And it may be just that the rudders they're old, like me. They're old. They're showing their wear and tear. So trying to find my spot where I can actually visually, be in a good position to fly the aircraft, yet still be able to read my altitudes and my airspeed. Like I said, the way they've got the MFDs set up, sitting in a normal position that I would in most cockpits, this one, it makes it near impossible to see the numbers. And in some cases, that flying the older style aircraft with the steam gauges, that can be an advantage because you can actually see the needles. Even if you can't read the numbers, you can see the needles, and from experience know, yeah, this is good airspeed. Plus, in this aircraft, the tape, which shows that you're, overspeeding the aircraft, it's wrong. You're in red from, like 200 knots, if not sooner. And so it needs to be edited and reset. But like I said in the other videos, this is an early version of this airplane that is still under development from the people working on it. And up to this point, they've done a very, very nice job. So, with that, let's get ready to take off. I've switched from taxi lights to landing lights, so we're good, ready to take off that way. Set our flaps for takeoff position.
Varadero Tower, Buggeater 64 Alpha Delta X-ray ready to go runway 06 IFR to Miami. Buggeater 64 Alpha Delta X-ray cleared for takeoff
Very good.
Cleared for takeoff runway 06 Bug Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-ray.
Okay, break off. Start moving out onto the runway. What did I... Oh! Need to put on the pitot. Turn on the heat to the pitot tubes. Okay. And it looks like... Sounds like the company is trying to call, but don't have time for them right now, so we're just going to go ahead and get ready to take off. So let's move. Get out onto this runway and head for Miami International, Florida. With the flight plan, it's about 177 miles distance, but with the flight plan that I've got set, it's going to be about 195 miles. But the way the flight plan is set up, it's going to put me right on approach to our runway. So, and that'll be runway 09 today. We've already had the information. So let's get going and let's get into the air. Rudders are really touchy. Try to make simple adjustments and it just jerks it. Okay, rotate. We have positive rate, gear coming up. There's that porpoising again. It's got something to do, I'm sure, probably with airspeed.
Havana Center Bug Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-ray is at 1,000 feet, climbing 8,000 feet. Bug Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-ray, Havana Center, continue to Eden as planned.
And that's a mystery because I'm actually going to 5,000 feet. We'll get the co-pilot some more coffee, maybe that'll help. Okay, lock nav, autopilot. So it's looking everything's flowing nicely. Okay, so everything is set properly. It's all looking good. Okay, we are on final approach into Miami, runway 09.
American 1340 contact ground on 120.35.
And on this flight, I did not use the auto throttle. I just controlled things with by hand, manually keeping the throttles, which is very easy in this aircraft. So that has worked quite well. Now I'll try to slow down to my normal landing speed that I'm used to in this aircraft in other versions. If porpoising starts again, what I'll probably do is I will give it more power, get a little more speed, and see if that smooths it out. So we're going to be testing that a little bit. We'll just see what happens here.
American 943, turn next taxiway.
And you can see the runway straight out in front of us.
Repeater 64 Alpha Delta, X-ray clear to land runway 9er. Follow the generic on the runway. 1076 at 20.
Cleared to land runway 9er, Repeater 64 Alpha Delta X-ray.
American 943, turn next taxiway.
Trim adjustments seem to be very touchy in this aircraft also. I'm trying to adjust trim and you're seeing that bouncing. That's different from the normal porpoising we've seen. And so
American 9er, 43 contact ground on 121.8.
things have smoothed out a little bit, so it looks pretty good.
121.8 for American 9er 43.
Okay, we're looking pretty good right now. Final degree of flaps. Alright, good touchdown. And look,
Vertical
yeah,
speed 136, side slip 0.3.
yeah, that's a good landing. But you see how the rudders is so sensitive. Anyway, good landing.
Repeater 64 Alpha Delta, X-ray exit runway when able.
Just did.
Repeater 64 Alpha Delta, X-ray contact ground on 120.35.
Very good.
Going to 120.35 Repeater 64 Alpha Delta X-ray.
get the aircraft cleaned up. Flaps up.
Ground Bug Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-ray taxi to parking.
Bug Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-ray taxi to general aviation parking via taxiway Tango 3 Sierra Yankee Romeo Zulu cross runway 12 Zulu Quebec Mike 2 cross runway 8 right Lima 2 cross runway 8 left kilo 2 kilo.
Absolutely. Exactly what she said.
Aviation parking using taxiway Tango 3 Sierra Yankee Romeo Zulu cross runway 12 Zulu Quebec Mike 2 cross runway 8 right Lima 2 cross runway 8 left kilo 2 kilo Bug Eater 64 Alpha Alpha Delta X-ray.
Okay, so we're going to go to general parking, which is on the far side of the airfield, where we are at right now, pulling into our parking. So you didn't have to deal with a long taxi. So we're just going to pull into this general parking spot.
Requesting pushback. American 1265, pushback request accepted.
Okay. Parking brake on. And let's shut down the engines.
Ground American 1265.
Go to air hauler and finish the flight.
American 1265 request to end pushback received.
Credit for a smooth landing. Everything good. Aircraft is home. All three of my aircraft are home now.
Ready to taxi IFR.
Let's look at the landing again. Okay. Successful flight, much better than the night flight. Very smooth, no issues. The fact that it actually followed my SimBrief flight plan, and we showed you how we installed that and everything. Very, very happy to see that. Very happy that is so easy to do. And the fact that the aircraft flew very well and with no real issues. Still have some problems with the porpoising. Don't know why that happens, but that's something that only time will, I'm sure, we'll figure out, and things will be taken care of. And of course, I've got some real sensitivity issues with the rudder pedals. So all in all, a good flight. I'm happy you all came along. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. And with that, until next time, this is Bug Eater 64, and we will see you in the skies. And as always, safe flying.